Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another special episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and this is the Star Wars tournament. The rest of it, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, and then the championship. Surprise, motherfucker. Boom! I'm also joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What is up? I'm glad we're closing out this tournament today. Got a lot of good matchups.
You know, coming straight off of our 2.5-hour recording of the round of 32.
That's we're going ham right now.
I'm going to break the fourth wall a little bit. I know it's not exactly lining up with the timeline with which you would be hearing these, but
probably at all.
But hey, we're recording this 5 minutes after we recorded the round of 32. So
this is all I've done today. And I'm proud.
I'm so proud. So what we have decided after concluding the round of 32 is that we have discussed in depth all of these characters practically at this point. Therefore, what's left is mostly just matchups. If you want to hear a lot more discourse on the characters themselves, go to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where you'll hear our seeding of these characters, where we dive into who goes where and how and why they fit there, which is a lot of in-depth conversation. 3 hours worth of discussion on these characters. We had the round of 64, which was an hour and 40 minutes of us going back and forth, mostly about the lower tier characters, about the guys who were getting beat, because we knew we would be talking about the bigger guys later. And then we got the round of 32, where we just dove in. We had a lot of conversation about the future of Star Wars, potentially what's to come. Just a lot of speculation. We got into the spiritual aspects of the Jedi. We got into some the potential of the fucking Force sensitives being worshipped as gods one day. Like, it was just it was all over the place.
7 to 8 hours of this bracket alone.
God damn, I thought about it like that.
7 to 8 hours.
Well, yeah, because we had a three hour prep, hour and 40
3
minutes.
hour before the bracket even started. That's 3 hours.
3 hour prep, an hour and 40 minutes for the first round.
Say,
so
that's about 2
minutes.
Yeah,
then
so about 5 hours.
2.5 hours.
I guess more like, yeah. Like
it'll
7.
be 8 by the end of this. It'll be 8 by the end of this, probably.
Definitely 8, yeah. So 8 hours of who's the best Star Wars character. And we haven't even – this is the halfway point.
Yep, we're going to find out today, this episode. Are you ready?
Is it Luke? Is it Vader? Is it Grogu?
We're going to fucking see. I'm hoping we get an upset in this bitch. I'm hoping the Final Four is not Darth Vader, Luke, Anakin, and Leia. And I don't think it will be.
Because those are our ones. It'll be interesting.
We shall see, though. We shall see. We start with Vader versus Dooku.
I mean,
Joe,
winner.
You love some Dooku.
I do love me some Dooku, but respect. You got to give credit where credit is due. Vader is a Vader, you know. Dooku, we describe Dooku as probably one of the best human beings to ever walk the planet, like last episode.
Yeah, Christopher Lee.
He's probably one of the coolest dudes that have ever walked the earth. You know, up there with like Leonardo da Vinci sort of guys. Guys that just kind of jack of all trades, badass in every way.
Yeah. He's Chuck Norris before Chuck Norris.
But this goes to show how much of a character Darth Vader is that we're talking about Christopher Lee and Count Dooku in this super high fashion, but Vader's almost godlike when it comes to pop culture. I mean, it's just
that's been our main point about Vader throughout this whole thing, is that he is just the most iconic character there is. It's not up for debate either. There isn't, and you could argue that one day maybe Thanos is on that level, the way they look back on the MCU. I don't think he will be, though. Not the way Vader was.
There's not enough people that know about Thanos. Every single person that has internet connection, I'd say, knows of Darth Vader. And people probably without internet connection know about Darth Vader, too. That's the thing. Possibly. There's a possibility.
It's just absurd. Vader's just too iconic, and therefore he must beat Dooku.
It's just how it is. I love Dooku. He's one of my favorite. He's definitely my top 3, my personal top 3 of characters of all time, just because of his lightsaber alone, his fighting style, everything about him, his vibe, I guess you could say. I love the guy, but Vader's my top 1. So can't really beat that. You can't really beat the top 1.
Yeah, Vader's that guy. So Vader over Dooku. Next match, we got Yoda versus Lando. Now, this one, I'm willing to hear some arguments about. Because here's the thing. We love Yoda. Obviously, we love Yoda. But if there's a sleeper here that's going to sneak past Yoda, and I mean sneak past Yoda, because there's the chance that, like, if he was facing off with Han, that's a little more obvious that maybe Han beats Yoda. If he's facing off with Luke, it's a little obvious that maybe Luke beats Yoda. But with Lando, it's not so obvious. Yet, I'm inclined to, lean towards him, and I don't know why.
I don't know why either. But the upset makes sense here, and I do not know why. Because I know how important Yoda is. I know he's literally seen everything. You gotta think, 1,000 years ago, people were still, not civilized.
Like this, they were.
People weren't even civilized. There were not civilizations, really, yet.
Not here, but in the galaxy there was.
Okay, yeah.
The Old Republic was reigning.
But it was a different time.
Certainly.
Technology, a way different time.
Yeah.
Yoda is crucial to the story. He is the leader of the Jedi Council. He is the master of masters. The Grand Master. But Lando, he's just a sly guy.
God
you know?
Damn, I love me some Lando. I mean, it's just when I go back and I watch Return of the Jedi, and even Empire, the introduction to Lando more than later in the movie. What are you doing, you old pirate? Get over here. It's just, I love him. He's infectious. There's something about him that you just love. And Wookiees stand out in a crowd. God, I loved that line in The Rise of Skywalker. I was like, I'm so glad to see Lando again. However, Yoda's Yoda. Fuck, I have a hard time parting with Yoda. And here's the thing. When it comes to Vader versus Yoda, I'll hear an argument. I won't hear an argument for Vader versus Lando.
That's true. That's very true. Maybe our own personal judgments, our own personal likelihoods are clouding our judgment here. And you know what Yoda would say? Is trust your instincts.
Do or do not. There is no try. Logically, we should just be running down this list and picking. We shouldn't be deliberating, according to Yoda.
What did our intuitions tell us, though? We both had this strange feeling that Lando should move on. And that was our intuition. And Yoda's all about trusting your intuition.
That was the instinct.
But was our instinct off emotion? Was it based off emotion?
Our instinct was off emotion. I got it.
It was heavily.
It wasn't based on logic.
It was not based on logic. It was heavily based on
how fucking cool Lando is.
He is pretty freaking cool.
I mean,
I agree.
That's a cute motherfucker right there. Billy D or Donald Glover.
That's true. The two people to play this character.
Smooth guys. One of them
I don't
played
know.
Two-Face.
I don't know. Is it enough, though?
It's not. Not to beat Yoda. Yoda's Yoda. And
That's true.
like I said, it does make next round more fun if it does come down to Vader versus Yoda than Vader versus Lando. And if we're going off that logic where Yoda has a chance against Vader and Lando doesn't, I feel like we got to go Yoda.
We got to go Yoda. It just makes sense here. I think a lot of people will be mad at us if we didn't go Yoda. I think this could spark some controversy if we just don't go Yoda. So,
however, no reason not to love Lando.
That's true.
I wouldn't judge someone for being like Lando's my favorite character even over Yoda.
Some people, we got the bad. We didn't get the best introduction to him as the character.
People hold that grudge.
But like, what are you gonna do? That's Darth Vader. What are you gonna do?
Vader.
What are you gonna do?
Well, that wasn't the deal. I'm changing the terms of the deal.
And exactly, during the deal, he even went against Vader, like in the same day. So I don't know. Maybe we just got off on the wrong foot, but he explained himself. He was like, "Dude, I'm not going to say no to that dude. I'm sorry. Like you got to put yourself in my shoes." And that makes sense, but I'm sorry.
I like when Lando visits Han after being tortured, and that scene, like upon rewatch, when you think about it, is a lot like, I kind of like push it aside in the past, but like Han comes in that room like sick as fuck, and he lays down and he goes, "They didn't even ask me anything. They just tortured him to torture him. They weren't seeking information. They were just like, fuck this guy. Get his ass."
Damn.
Like that's, and like going through that, like Han's been through some shit. Like that's not light. That's a traumatic experience that Han has endured here.
You got to be pretty fucked up for the first thing to say when you enter a room after being tortured is, "They didn't even ask me anything."
Yeah, but like I'm thinking like when Lando also comes into the room, he's like, "You gotta understand, like I can't argue with that fucking guy." And I like how Han just lets him fucking have it. He just swings on him, punches him in the fucking face, and Lando's like, "That's fair,
Yeah, like you cool. Just got brutally tortured. I could probably take a few.
I deserve a punch in the face. And immediately he turns. He's like from that moment where like he realizes Vader is like going to take over Cloud City, like this is no longer his territory. He figures out a way to help them escape so that he can at least clear up his conscience a little bit, Like he's like, I gotta help somehow. And the introduction of Lobot, I love it.
Yeah. Wow.
But Yoda takes it over Lando for me. And but God, I love Lando. It's not easy to see him go.
It's true. We're going to see some big characters fall. Some big names will fall today.
And this next one, I think we see the potential for a big name to fall. With Leia Organa versus Ahsoka Tano. Buddy, I'm having the same instinct I was last match. I want the upset. I want it. Here's the thing. I love Leia. Probably a top 2 character for me in Star Wars in terms of favorites. I've talked about this on the past episodes. The way the last arc of the Clone Wars made me feel about Ahsoka, it's different. It's similar to that first time I saw Grogu type thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh shit, I am seeing this character for the first time in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And fuck, it was great. But goddamn, it's Leia Organa. What am I saying?
This one's the hardest one so far.
This one for me, the hardest match the rest of the way.
Because you have 2 characters that are just, there's nothing to hate about them.
Nothing.
I can't find one thing The only thing I hate about Leia is that we didn't see more of her.
Exactly.
Or of Ahsoka. That's the only thing I hate about them, is that I don't have enough of them, basically. And I guess that's the only thing you hate about anything, that you love. These two are just the most lovable characters. It's just how it is.
They are. So,
how much does Leia's iconicness carry her here?
quite a bit.
Because Ahsoka did it on her own.
You bring up a very valid point. Ahsoka earned her way in the eyes of the fans.
She wasn't instantly loved. She was hated, even.
She was hated when the Clone
Ahsoka earned it in two ways. One, not being a original character that is crucial to the story and seen in the biggest movie of all time, one of the biggest movies of all time, versus a Dave Filoni creation that was hated, and he birthed into one of the greatest characters Star Wars has. Because when we are talking about the Elite Eight. These are the top 8 characters of Star Wars. Both of them deserve to be on that list.
Both of them deserve to be in the top.
It's just that they have matched up here.
Exactly.
My vote's going to go to Ahsoka. And it pains me to do it. It pains me to pick. It's like picking a favorite kid right here. It is basically picking a favorite kid. If we want to, I am totally fine with flipping a coin for this match. I'm 100% with flipping a coin. I would be fine with that.
I'm kind of with that too, because here's the thing. These are both top 5 favorites of mine.
Mm-hmm.
If not both, not top 5. I was going to say maybe even both top 3, which is like...
Yeah.
But and that might be the case, but I'll give them a guaranteed top 5. So this is so difficult for me. And I'll say, in terms of favoritism, I think I still go with Leia.
Mm-hmm.
But watching the character Ahsoka grow is different for me.
And we're not done with her.
No, and there's also the fact that I watched the Clone Wars when I was younger. I grew up with Ahsoka a little bit. By the time I'm fucking 19 or 20, watching her character come to fruition, that's fucking cool. I was born with Leia. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah.
Leia existed. But getting to watch Ahsoka grow my entire life practically, it's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool little story there. And the story of not only Ahsoka, Leia's got resilience on her as a character, certainly, and as the actress Carrie Fisher, she's phenomenal. God, I loved that woman, a badass through and through. But seeing Ahsoka grow in the eyes of fans, being hated, and then eventually becoming beloved, like one of the most loved characters in all of Star Wars, and then also the Clone Wars being canceled and then revived so that we got to see Ahsoka become that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. That last season.
Glorious.
Glorious. Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, it's just crazy how far her character, just the rise that she saw in that last season alone. I don't know. If I had to choose, I think it would be Ahsoka, just because she didn't have anything going for her at the beginning. But she ended up at Leia level with not having the Leia birthright, in a sense.
I get what you're saying.
Leia's kind of a trust fund baby. Okay, no. She is not just a trust fund baby. She is not Leia because of her dad or whatever. But just being a main character in the original movie.
Yeah, being a main character in 1977 Star Wars makes you automatically have an iconicism to you that an Ahsoka just won't have.
Yeah. And I think if you take that away and you just look at both of their characters, Oh, it's still so hard, though.
We're going to flip a coin. I can't in good conscience pick.
Okay.
We're going to flip a coin. So,
do you want Google to decide it, or should we get a physical coin? And if the force is real, the force can decide.
The force will decide. I'm going to use my phone and flip it onto this mattress here.
Yeah, don't put it in Google's hands. We're putting it.
The screen being heads, the back of my phone being tails. I'm just going to toss it up onto this mattress, and we'll see what happens. Ready?
Leia heads, or Leia screen, Ahsoka back.
Correct. Ready? It is Ahsoka.
It has been decided.
How do you feel about it? What was your instinct as soon as I said Ahsoka?
I'm not going to lie. I knew it was her before you even said it.
You felt it.
I did feel it. I did feel it.
Well, I mean, I'm cool with it. We let the fates decide. We let
That's
the force.
true. And honestly, I think if we put a poll, it probably
coming down to it.
It's gonna be 50-50 or close to it. I don't know.
Damn, I love Leia though. It is so hard saying bye to Leia, but I was willing to flip the coin then. I am willing.
How about this? Let's say this: the next matchup, both of them win. No matter Leia or Ahsoka, this next matchup that they would face, either of the girls are beating these two. I'm sorry.
I agree.
That's just how it's going to be. If it's Leia or Ahsoka, they beat both. They beat him.
And let's talk about it though. Han Solo versus Din Djarin.
The two cool ass dudes.
Just scoundrels out here, bro.
Oh my god!
I don't know. Here's the thing. It's that same. It's that same.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. This is the same thing. No, this is.
Din's been loved. Din's been loved though.
That's true.
That's the thing. Is that like a
Din is not on Ahsoka level yet.
No, he's not. Which makes him not Han Solo level. Therefore, you got to go Han. Like you just have to. Din will get there. He will, and I know that. However, he is not beating Han Solo here.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's true. Has Din ever done a Kessel run in 12 parsecs? Or is it the? I don't think. I think only one person has actually.
Yeah, I think it was just Han. Actually.
Wow.
I gotta go Han.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Din, if you were to move on, Leia or Ahsoka would stomp on you quite easily. I'm sorry. I hope your character gets to their level. I really hope it does because your character has so much potential. And I just love you, Pedro Pascal.
Oh, I love Pedro Pascal. But hey, we also got Harrison Ford.
It's true.
And
a guy who hates Star Wars. A guy who
anyone to go down to for an actor, it's Harrison Ford. You know?
That's true.
Han Solo advances over Din Djarin. Let's go to the other side of the bracket, where we start with Luke Skywalker versus Maul. Now, nice and simple. It's Luke Skywalker.
It's Luke Skywalker.
And that is the largest worry about this tournament for me, is the fact that
it is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, like that's a part. Like Luke Skywalker is a part of the Star Wars and is Star Wars. Therefore, probably I could and probably will win this tournament. But getting there's the fun part. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
But we don't know that.
We knew he was going to be here.
Oh, obviously.
We knew he's going to be.
We knew he was going to be top 4.
Yes, we knew he's going to be top 4. Does he make it to the ship?
He'll have to make it past one little green guy.
Little green guy.
He'll have to make it past one little green guy. But Luke Skywalker takes it over Maul. And if you want to hear us talk about Maul extensively, go to the last couple episodes, and I'm sure you'll hear it. Next match: Palpatine versus Grogu. We talked about this last week too. This one, our instinct has led us to believe Grogu will go.
You know,
Grogu should advance.
You
But
said it would become harder once we started to talk about it.
is it just getting easier?
No.
It's getting harder. It is getting harder.
Because, wow. You have Palpatine, who the reason Palpatine is here is because of the beautiful writing and chess playing and deviousness and slyness and just epicness of the character, and the only reason Grogu is here is because he's cute as fuck.
I will say that as a character in and of himself, obviously he is not fledged out.
If he could not live to be 950, he wouldn't be here. If this was a young little human boy, he would not be here.
Oh, certainly. Here's my thing. Is the part of the reason he's here is not just because of his cuteness, but I talked about this last week a lot. It's that first appearance. It's momentous. It's officially like, you've been waiting for this.
You didn't know you needed this?
You didn't know you've been waiting for it, but this is what you've been waiting for if you're a Star Wars fan. And that's what makes him exciting. However, it is Palpatine. Very, the guy in the Star Wars universe in terms of causing things. He is the cause of all of it. This is tough. This is one where I'm feeling more like Leia and Ahsoka, except I love one of them and hate the other. I just have to respect one of them. You know what I'm saying?
It's for the kids. That's what Papa George said.
That's what Papa George taught Filoni.
And if we're going to learn anything, it's for the kids. The kids aren't really that interested in Palpatine.
The kids fucks with Grogu, though.
They fuck with Grogu hard.
Everyone fucks with Grogu.
Grogu made it into Fortnite. Well, in promo art with Din, but like he's not in the game. But like,
no, I'm with you. I get you.
You have to Thanos. You know, he's at a Thanos level in pop culture. Grogu is. I mean, I
ain't thought about it like that, but yeah, he is at Thanos level in pop culture, which is crazy. Bigger. The fact that the villain in the highest grossing movie of all time, aside from Avatar, is as big as a child character who...
I'd say the child character is bigger than Thanos.
He might be. That's the thing, though, is that, like, he might be every bit as well known, which is crazy to think about. I got to give it to Grogu. I've got to give it to Grogu over Palpatine.
Grogu's moving on.
Here's the thing. I've been pulling for him since the round of 64.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, a little bit of a personal bias. But goddamn, how do you not love Grogu? How could you not love that guy?
If one of these two is going to beat Luke, it's going to be Grogu.
Yeah, Palpatine ain't fucking with Luke.
He's not beating Luke. I'm sorry. By that alone, Grogu has to move on. It's for the kids. Grogu's the future of Star Wars. Hopefully, he is the future of Star Wars.
Hopefully. I have a proposal for the next one. Mm-hmm. Are we comfortable with Grogu moving on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have Vader
in
the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need Vader and Anakin in the Elite Eight? Because here's the thing. As we've been talking about Vader and Anakin, whether we like it or not, we have been lumping them together. We have been appreciating Anakin's arc as a whole because he becomes Darth Vader.
Okay, here's what I'll say. When talking about them, they deserve to be talked about as separate people.
Yeah.
In this sense, Anakin's not going to beat Vader.
No.
we might as well, if we're going to keep one of them, it be Vader. And I am definitely fine with Padme beating Anakin.
I am too, especially after our conversation about Padme on the
I
last
honestly may. I think I like Padme more of a character than I do Anakin.
I think I certainly do.
I think I'm not even saying like I'm not saying like I'm okay with Anakin being out here just because of the bracket. Like I am, if we want to keep Anakin in, I'm fine with Padme just beating him because I think that's just what happens. At the end of the day,
I'm glad to hear that, Joe, because I was framing that up like that because I thought you'd go with Anakin. I want Padme to win this match.
I think she just does.
I think she deserves it.
The only reason Anakin is Anakin is because he turns into Vader. Yes, as Anakin, he's done some cool stuff. Killed Dooku. Won an epic pod race. Epic victory royale there. Was trained by Obi-Wan, which is pretty cool. Lost to him. That kind of sucks. He's a good pilot. Anakin really didn't do much other than whine, though.
See, that's the thing but he did have quite the tragic life.
Yes,
quite the tragic life. I can't blame him for being a little whiny. He's
obviously Anakin's arc is Star Wars. Anakin and Luke's arc is Star Wars. That's what Star Wars is. It's Anakin's arc, Luke's arc, Rey's arc. It's just what it is.
But Anakin's arc culminates because he becomes Vader. Therefore, at some point,
the real arc begins when Anakin is dead.
Yeah.
Padme is moving on.
Padme moves on and defeats our 1 seed, Anakin Skywalker, which makes Padme the lowest seed to advance to the Elite Eight, I believe. Let me check that real quick.
Let's give Padme a dub.
Grogu?
Padme deserves a dub.
Grogu at a 6 seed is the lowest. Padme at a 5.
This next one is just the story of the 2 saddest stories in all of Star Wars.
They just lose everybody. And here's the thing. That's the story of a 250-year-old being that's friends with humans. You know? That's sad. Like, you were going to watch your friends die if you were friends with humans at that point.
That's true.
And he was friends with Han. He was friends with Luke. He was friends with Leia. That's why I was so thankful that he found Lando in The Rise of Skywalker.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that now he can roll with Lando for the rest of Lando's days, at least, that's nice. Thank God. You know? Thank God he had somebody. However,
jeez. Obi-Wan's got no one.
Obi-Wan ain't got shit. We talked about how he takes solace in looking after Luke, but he doesn't have an adult companion. You know, there's nobody that is his friend. Maybe he has Qui-Gon. Maybe he's speaking to him through the Force. I don't know, but it's like, how good of a friend can he have if he's just he can't take a corporeal form? You know what I'm saying?
This is hard. This is hard. This match.
Here's my thing.
Okay, it shouldn't just be on whose story is sadder.
No. But that decision is hard.
Yeah.
I think Obi-Wan Kenobi wins this simply because of the emotional resonance of his entire story. The fact that he had to watch Qui-Gon die, and that's what launches him to take care of Anakin. He has to fight Anakin, and that makes him fall to Darth Vader. He trains Luke, takes on Vader one more time and loses. Like, it's just like or not loses, but
on purpose
becomes one with the Force.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he does what he needs to let them escape.
Strike me down now, and I will become more powerful than ever. Is that how it goes?
You strike me down now, and I will become more powerful than ever. Yeah, something like that.
More powerful. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, Chewbacca hasn't spoken a word of English, and he is still on here. That is impressive that someone can write a character that screams, and you are still emotionally attached to him this much. We are emotionally attached to a beyond hairy being that is 7 foot something that screams.
You bring up a very good point. There's something there, you know.
He doesn't beat Obi-Wan. He doesn't beat Obi-Wan.
No.
For me. He doesn't beat Obi-Wan, but
not for me either.
Just the fact that is a thing in general in our lives. It's kind of weird to think about. But George, you're a genius, man.
You genius, you. You genius, you. All right, so that rounds out our Elite Eight.
Wow.
I'll read the matchups now. We will have Luke Skywalker versus Grogu, Padme Amidala versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Vader versus Yoda, and Ahsoka Tano versus Han Solo. So our Elite Eight is Han, Ahsoka, Yoda, Vader, Luke, Grogu, Padme, and Obi-Wan.
Wow.
That's an interesting list. I'll say that. Like, not exactly where I anticipated us being. You know, we've got a 3 seed or a 2 seed in here, a 1 seed in here. Ahsoka, however, that's a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Grogu, 6 seed. Padme, 5 seed. Luke, 1 seed. Obi-Wan, 2 seed. I'd be willing to bet, probably.
Mm-hmm. I would assume.
Yeah, Obi-Wan's a 2 seed. It's a relatively balanced bracket. Sure, we have some 1s and 2s, but we've also we sprinkled in a 4, a 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. That's some fun stuff right there. So, let's get this Elite Eight rolling. We're gonna start with Vader versus Yoda. I mean,
it's Vader.
It's Vader. If
we almost let Yoda go last round, almost.
You can't beat Vader.
Vader's got to make it into the Final Four. Vader, it would be embarrassing for him not to be in the Final Four.
For us, yeah. How can we call ourselves Star Wars fans if Darth Vader isn't in the top 4 characters in Star Wars?
And this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be putting characters above each other and making this hard on ourselves. Like, we're supposed to just enjoy this universe.
Yeah, obviously. I don't want to make anybody feel like what we say goes.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this goes against, like, what a normal person does, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Because here's the thing. I love Star Wars in all its aspects. You know, I love all the movies. I love all the shows. I've watched all of them. You know, like it's just enjoyable for me. And like someone we had to let go in the round of 32, Hera Syndulla, that's like a top 7 character for me in terms of favorites. But we had to let her go early on. I'm not I'm sure there's plenty of like Rey. We said bye to Rey in the round of 32. I know that's tons of people's favorite character. We said bye to Kylo for Maul.
This is definitely not the popular vote. We can say that. We can definitely say that. Like, if you got a,
I think our age shows with this too.
That's true, definitely.
With no sequel trilogy character making it past the round of 32, I think it's clear that we're above 20.
Mm-hmm.
With Padme Amidala being in the Elite Eight, I think it's clear that we're prequel trilogy babies. Just like, and then Ahsoka Tano being in the Elite Eight shows that we've grown up watching Ahsoka Tano, I think, too. However, I don't see how you can possibly not love Ahsoka Tano. Like, no matter what age you are, I feel like Ahsoka is pretty much the perfect character to look up to and listen to in terms of anyone in the Star Wars universe.
I'd agree.
So, I mean,
yeah,
there's just a whole lot. There's just a whole lot of characters that are all lovable. I mean, we said bye to Jabba the Hutt, one of the most iconic characters in the round of 64. Poe Dameron.
That's true. Man. Wow, a sequel character even beat out Jabba the Hutt at that. So maybe we do like the sequels a little bit, you know?
Oh, enough. You know, like I give them their credit. I feel like I like the sequels and I like all their characters. It's just that, like, you know, I grew up with the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, so obviously my biases lie there. That's just how it works.
I feel like I am rationally irrational against the sequel movies.
Yeah, there are the valid arguments.
I can hate it too much at some points. It just kind of feels
it's an instinct, you know. The instinct is that, like, if you even like slightly disagree with someone on something, like any of us, about Star Wars, you are automatically pushed further and further into that belief because you're not going to be swayed. You know what I'm saying? So the more people argue, like the way we argue about the sequel trilogy, I'd say we probably get roughly the same amount of enjoyment out of it. You're just far more critical of it than I am. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Which is interesting to think about. Therefore, like, whenever we argue about it, it seems like I fucking love the sequel trilogy, and it seems like you
The difference is that if I was arguing, if it was me and Miles and you and Kyler arguing the sequels,
this would elevate. This would be different.
We would be so much more divided. We would be even 100%. More divided by the end of it. But I actually think you've made me appreciate the sequels a little bit more.
I'm glad to hear it.
Like, there have been certain things that you told me that I just haven't really realized about the sequels.
Yeah, and like that's the thing, is that I will say the sequel trilogy does require a degree of rationalization. Like, you have to think about it and justify things in your head a little bit more than you certainly do the original trilogy and prequel trilogy. But if you do, they become far more enjoyable, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately what I try to do with every Star Wars, is find the best things about it, focus on those things, and then even the things people don't like, I like to hear them out. I like to hear what people think. But most of the time, I don't want to look for the things I don't like about this. You know what I'm saying?
And it's also hard that it's going up against one of the greatest creations in film history. We're putting it up to that standard. We're putting it up to the original trilogy. Like, people put the prequel trilogy up to the original trilogy. It doesn't stand up. It makes sense why it doesn't stand up, because it's not it.
It isn't.
There's no way that you're going to create Star Wars and then do better than that afterwards. It's just probably not going to happen. You're not going to create the biggest pop culture sagas of all time and then somehow, top yourself after that. Like, it's not really fair to hold it in that standard, because why am I expecting it to be better than the originals? I shouldn't expect it to be better than the originals. Like,
but that is also the thing, is that, like, it's not completely unreasonable for you to think they have that ability, though. They certainly did. They could have made movies. They could have made movies that you went, holy shit, that was the best trilogy of all time.
That's true.
And that's where the letdown comes, is that you're like, is the fact that you do have to rationalize things. For me, the fact that I do have to rationalize things and I have to think about them and twist them in my mind to make them fit a good narrative is where I should have watched movies where I can just watch them and go, fuck, man, that was fucking great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do get the gripes 100%. It's just, I just like looking for the good. That's all. Mm-hmm. You feel me?
I get it. I totally get you. But yeah, I'm down to trash on Hollywood any day.
Any day.
But yeah.
Any day. But yeah, Vader beats Yoda. Next match, Ahsoka Tano versus Han Solo. And we said it just a little bit ago. Whoever was facing Han or Din here, they weren't taking down Leia or Ahsoka. And I stand by it. Han, while classic, one of the greatest characters of all time, and for most of my life, I would have said Han Solo is my favorite character in Star Wars. But as I've gotten older, I've just appreciated all these other stories. When I was little, Han Solo's the coolest fucking guy here. He's my favorite character. That's how my logic works. But the more you grow, I mean, you love Han Solo. I still love Han Solo, but I didn't like Luke Skywalker that much when I was little. It took me growing up to like really appreciate Luke Skywalker, like to watch his story and watch his development from episode 4 to episode 6. Like, he defines character development. Han
That's
Solo
true.
was just a fucking cool dude.
Me as a kid, I probably wouldn't put Palpatine on my radar. Like, and Palpatine's one of my favorite characters of anything. Like, you just don't pick up on things as a kid. Our kid brain is looking, oh my god, there's a glowing laser sword, and anything it touches, it goes through it without any hassle, you know? Like, oh my god, that's the coolest thing ever, and he can move a thing with your mind, and, you know, I'm not thinking of, oh, Palpatine is literally controlling every single aspect of Anakin's life and making him do everything basically he wants. And the whole galaxy along with that.
Yeah.
And, you know, when it comes to this matchup, Han and Ahsoka, you take that childhood, you know, perspective, you don't really see Ahsoka as you know, the character that every kid's going to go to. Maybe they do because, you know, in the Clone Wars, that is a character that I would see kids kind of connecting with.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if that's like the first thing you introduce them to.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a kid started with the Clone Wars, that's probably about as good a place as any to start. Like either that or Rebels, in terms of just how much a kid's going to enjoy it. An animated series is probably more ideal than a 2-hour movie. It just is. And growing that attachment to this hero, Anakin Skywalker. Can you imagine showing a kid the Clone Wars and letting them grow up with that version of Anakin and then showing them Revenge of the Sith? That's scarring shit right there. That is scarring shit. But
I could not imagine watching Clone Wars as the first thing Star Wars.
Be wild, right?
Oh my god. That's where you start?
Well, no, I mean, I think it'd be fun.
Oh, it would be insane. It would make every plot twist even more insane. You have so much more background with these characters, and you're like, oh my god, I can never see Anakin do anything evil. Like, you know, like, that's Anakin right there.
That version of Anakin, that Matt Lanter version of Anakin, bro, he's a fucking superhero.
The only evil part of Anakin you see is like whenever he's on that planet with, you know, I forgot what it was, but it was like his castle. Yeah, his castle, and he was controlling, literally, like, taking control of these beings that he wasn't even supposed to be able to do, and then he's just doing. Like,
well, and it was that very interaction that made Obi-Wan like realize like
he's the chosen one. Okay.
And that was what's crazy too, is that after that interaction too, they all got their minds fucking wiped. They couldn't remember it. So it was like,
oh, I forgot about that.
So imagine how different it is if they can remember it after that. Imagine Obi-Wan having watched Anakin do this and then go, holy fucking shit, why am I training you?
I think if he remembers it, he goes to the council and he's like, just make this guy a master. Like, we can know he doesn't hold the same principles as us, but like, he could take any of us out in an instant. Just let this kid have whatever he wants. I don't know. I think it would have gone very differently if Obi-Wan remembers what happened that day.
But Ahsoka was also there.
That's true.
Ahsoka also saw this happen. Do you think Ahsoka's perspective of her master is swayed at all after this? Do you think she might be potentially scared?
Like, I gotta respect this guy a little bit more.
I think she held the utmost respect for Anakin, though, because I mean, there are also those points where Anakin had a sway on Ahsoka pretty heavily, obviously. Like, there's that point where I can't remember who Ahsoka's talking to, but she whips out the lightsaber and starts fighting, and she tells someone that her master has told her this is what we call aggressive negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you're not supposed to bring your weapons to a negotiation, but, you know, Anakin, even as Anakin, was willing to, like, go that extra mile before he was Vader to get someone to confess something. Like, he would.
And that's the thing is that, but Anakin, he is arrogant, but he's arrogant because he knows, like, he's the chosen one. He knows he is the most. Yeah, he knows he's the most powerful. Like, he knows what he could really do if he wanted to. He's the only one who knows. Maybe Palpatine, maybe Yoda, maybe, maybe they could see that, but like Anakin is the only one who truly knows his capabilities. And I'd say if I could control 2 Force beings to save both of my friends that I thought I could only save one of them, like that's God level shit. What he did on there. Like that is like, that was to show us that this guy really is like, he really is everything you think he is.
He is the chosen one.
There's no one that's going to stand up against this guy.
There isn't.
Other than his son.
Which brings us to the next matchup, which makes our first Final Four matchup a fun fight, which we've seen in Rebels. Vader versus Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
On the side of the Final Four.
Wow. How poetic.
And here on the other side of the bracket, we've got Luke versus Grogu. Now, we had a little bit of a hang up on Grogu last round.
Are we doing Luke versus Grogu first?
Yes. Yeah, we are here. Luke versus
Grogu. This is it. Like, this is it. Like, these are the Final Four. Ahsoka, Vader, Luke, Grogu.
Oh no. Luke versus Grogu is a part of the Elite Eight.
Oh, wait, what? Wait a minute.
Whoever wins this goes to the Final Four.
Oh, that's right. Oh, my God. Hold on, wait. Oh, my God. Okay. I'd say that... Oh, okay. Wow.
See, here's the thing. I was afraid I would have this problem. I thought I would be able to be like, Grogu, I can't even partially think about it without going, that's just wrong. It is Luke Skywalker. It is the Luke Skywalker. He is Star Wars.
I wish they wouldn't have to meet this early. Like, this is the finals match before the finals.
Yeah, it's the Final Four. This is a semi-match. This is semi-final.
Like, this is like the rivalry. This is the match that everyone wants to see. Mm. Even though it might not be the championship, this is like the championship. Yeah. For sure. On one hand, you have Star Wars in a character. You have Star Wars. And then you have the future of Star Wars. Basically.
Yeah.
But you can't have what hasn't been told beat the greatest story or one of the greatest stories of all time.
Yeah, you just can't. It's got to be Luke. It has to be Luke.
I mean,
there's no other way around it. It has to be Luke Skywalker. And the only person who's going to give him a run for it is either Ahsoka or Vader.
That's true. Would Grogu beat out Ahsoka or Vader?
I don't think so. I think
I'd say
Vader over Grogu. For sure.
I'd say Ahsoka's the closest. Because I'd say if it's really the top two here, it's Vader and Luke. I mean, that's just the
duh.
I mean, that's the top two.
Yeah.
Tied for second, as of right now, would probably be Ahsoka and Grogu.
Well, we got one more matchup here in the league.
That's true. Let's just do that. Let's not get in. Yeah, let's just do that. Luke's moving on though. Let's say rest in peace to our little boy.
Sorry, Grogu. We love you, buddy, but shit.
I don't even think one day you could get there. I'm gonna say you can, but I really don't think it's possible.
Here's the thing. Like I said last round, like I've spoiled already in this episode before the end of it, and like you knew whenever we started a Star Wars character tournament, it was gonna be Luke. Like, it's just gonna be. That's just how it works. It's all the other people that is fun to figure out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just is. But let's talk Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Padme Amidala.
Now, this is an interesting matchup.
This one's more fun. Here's the thing. They are almost equally as prevalent. Except Obi-Wan Kenobi appears in one more movie. That's it. They are both in this series and Padme has more of a sway on Anakin than Obi-Wan Kenobi does.
That's very true. Anakin I would say
I love that the way we've gauged how great these stories are is the degree to which they affect Anakin or Luke.
I mean, that's what it is.
That's how you base it up. That's how you base it, though.
The prequels are Anakin. The original is Luke. The sequels, I would say the dyad.
Yeah.
Is what the sequels are.
Yeah, I agree.
And, I mean, seeing what character pushed that arc more, I'd say, is one of the only things we have to base on which character is better. Which character pushed the arc to where it had to go more? Or which had a bigger impact?
I don't know. Here's the thing, because Obi-Wan obviously raised him from when he was 9.
The thing is, Obi-Wan has an impact on Luke and Anakin.
That's true.
Padme has the biggest impact on... Yeah, but Luke doesn't know her. Luke doesn't know her at all.
True.
Luke knows he has a mother, but never, has seen an image of her. Nothing.
Yeah.
Padme had the biggest influence on Anakin, but Obi-Wan had an influence on Anakin and Luke. And Obi-Wan also had influence on more. Padme's influence was mainly on Anakin. She had influence in the Senate, obviously, as
Not
her job.
to overcome Palpatine, though.
That's true.
However, there's a reason all those hits were set out on Padme Amidala. It's because she's the only one who gave Palpatine problems in the Senate.
Palpatine was trying to assassinate Padme for quite some time and never got to it.
Since episode 1. For 15 years, he tried to assassinate Padme Amidala, at least.
And then he finally took her life away. Whether you want to believe it or not, I'm sorry. I don't know.
All right. So, what's your gut telling you here? Obi-Wan versus Padme Amidala. Where are we leaning?
My gut is telling me whoever wins this, it doesn't really matter. But
that's fair.
That means that this matchup should matter more because this is a more interesting matchup.
This determines, this is important.
I would say I would like for Padme to win this one, but I don't think she does.
I would too, but I don't think she does either. I think you got to go Obi-Wan Kenobi. I would have loved if we could have had Ahsoka Tano and Padme Amidala in this Final Four. I think that would be perfect, but damn, I cannot advance Padme past Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan is just Obi-Wan.
And frankly, he gives Luke more of a run for his money than Padme does.
That's true. That's true.
Looking at Obi-Wan and Luke side by side is a little bit tougher of a decision than Luke side by side with Padme. I don't think it's
the same decision.
It's not difficult.
A little bit more. Yeah. Wow. What? I did not think I would be this distraught.
Over saying bye to Padme.
I didn't think it'd be this hard to do this.
Because I don't want to pick anybody over anybody.
We're at the point where every single one of these names is automatically a golden character.
Yeah, okay, this is fun. Let's go back to the tier list. See what's happened here. So
was Grogu an S? Was Grogu S tier?
Padme and Grogu were both A.
Wow.
Padme and Grogu were both A, and they made it to the Final Four. Or no, Elite Eight. Obi-Wan, Vader, and Luke, all S. And then the other...
Chewie,
Ahsoka.
Chewie's S. Ahsoka's S.
So yeah, we've got nothing but S tiers here in the Final Four. And that was ultimately what it was going to come down to.
Yeah.
We've got Vader versus Ahsoka and Luke versus Obi-Wan.
Vader and Ahsoka is just emotional in itself that they did meet up here.
It is a fun little. It's a Ahsoka. I love that moment in the Rebels fight. Whenever
it's
she
master and apprentice versus master and apprentice, in a way.
It is. Which is just lovely. It's lovely that it's come down to this, but...
Should we just say the masters are moving on? Well, no. One master moves on.
One apprentice moves on.
The one apprentice moves on. I guess it could go either way, though.
Obi-Wan versus Ahsoka. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's Obi-Wan moving on and Ahsoka. Yes, that's obviously what we're going with.
But I mean, we ought to
talk about each one
a little bit,
specifically. You know? Yeah, we should talk about each one for sure.
Okay, so let's talk Vader versus Ahsoka. That fight in Rebels alone is one of my favorite lightsaber sequences there is. The Duel of the Fates, Maul versus Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan versus Anakin. Like those are the four for me. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a good set of four. The Duel of the Fates, Obi-Wan versus Anakin, Maul versus Ahsoka in the Clone Wars.
Do you know what's interesting?
What's that?
The Duel of Fates was really decided. The real Duel of Fates fight was Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon versus Maul.
Yeah,
that is the Duel of Fates.
Yeah.
But you could also say, obviously, if Anakin came out on top, completely different fate. Like, it's crazy that each fight, each decision that was made either led to Vader being more powerful or restricting him. And the one we got was the restrictive path.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that like we were on a path where no matter what, Vader was happening.
And it was either
unless Qui-Gon beats Maul. And that's it.
That's true. If
that's
Qui-Gon
like
beats Maul, Vader does not exist.
I agree.
Like, the chances of Vader existing are very low if Qui-Gon lives. Honestly, if Obi-Wan dies, I'd say that would, if you flip it and Obi-Wan dies, I'd say it's even more likely for Vader not to exist.
I tend to agree.
I'd say Obi-Wan really led him down. Well, it was not what he needed at the time.
It's the dynamic of their relationship, you know? Anakin looks to Obi-Wan as a father. Obi-Wan doesn't reciprocate that. He does not reciprocate that. He looks at him, "You are my brother, Anakin."
It's like
Anakin earlier in the movie is like, "You've been like a father to me, Obi-Wan. I should listen to you more." Like, they even make a point to point out the difference in their relationship in that movie. And them never being on the same page in that way is crucial. Like, that is a critical little error there, is that Obi-Wan always looked at him like a brother, but treated him like a son. You know what I'm saying? And the way that he restricted his actions, and the way that he talked to him, and the way that he said, "No, you cannot do these things." And Anakin, you know, he resented him for it, whether he liked it or not. You remember in episode 2 when he talks to Padme one-on-one, he's like, "He's holding me back." Like,
I mean, because he is. In every way. Like, emotionally and, like, powerful. Like, power level.
The Jedi do that to every one of their Padawans, hold them back emotionally.
Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but, like, it's the Jedi's fault.
It is.
Everything.
Well, I mean, it's Palpatine's fault more than anything. But the Jedi shouldn't have been so complacent.
If the Jedi weren't the way they were, if they realized, okay, this kid is basically a god, why are we telling him what to do? I mean, if I'm Yoda, I've been alive for 900 years, I've seen some shit, probably been through some bullshit, a lot of crappy stuff to deal with. I've never seen a child that has godlike abilities, a prophecy that seems to be coming true, in which it doesn't end well for us. let's restrict this boy more.
Yeah.
Let's tell him exactly what he doesn't need to hear. Let's tell him, you think you're going to be a master? Not even close.
Well, not just that. To tell him he is the chosen one. To tell him you are the most powerful among us. You will be the greatest among us. And then to not act on that. It's impeccable. Like, that's part of what makes his resentment grow.
Imagine you work for a company. You're the best the company's ever had, without a doubt. You have climbed the ladder and everything. You're about to take the keys to the company, right? You're about to take all shares. This is all you. And then Jeff Bezos is just like, you know what? You're the best we've ever had, but I'm just gonna keep it right here. You know, you can just stay where you're at. I'll stay where I'm at. I know you're way better than me in every way. Handshake. I mean, like,
yeah, that's just the bottom. So,
poor business deal on the Jedi's end. Let's
just go ahead and make it official.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have Vader over Ahsoka and Luke. We knew it was coming to this. It's pretty much in vain to have a 64 character Star Wars bracket that involves both Darth Vader, and Luke Skywalker. Because who else is going to be top two? You can't go against the iconicism of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. The real challenge was for third and fourth. If we're being for real,
we're lucky that they weren't on the same side of the bracket to start with. You know, imagine if they were.
The Final Four would look a lot different.
I think this bracket could look way different depending on, like, just flipping, like, two people from one side of the bracket to the other. Like, imagine Luke and Vader on one side and Grogu's on the other.
We've got a final matchup between Luke or Vader and Grogu, and we're forced to choose there.
Exactly.
But it is fun. It is fun. But then you have the thing, Grogu makes it to the final, but one of them wins. You know, it's always going to be one of them.
That's true. This is the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. This is the debate. There's no other debate to be had. There's the debate for second, which is a still very respectable debate.
And it looks like Obi-Wan and Ahsoka came up as that second place for us.
At least in this bracket. Because I could see Grogu being number 2. Even though he's not original, I could see him being number 2. Like, it
is really, really interesting that Grogu made it further than Din Djarin. In context. You know what I'm saying?
Grogu will survive longer than Din Djarin.
Yeah.
Like, literally and pop culturally. Like, yeah. The name Din Djarin will fade out before Grogu ever even is thinking about fading out.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But let's talk Luke Vader.
I mean, this is the LeBron versus Jordan.
Yeah, it is. Let me ask straight away, of the two, just straight off bat, who is your favorite? Not necessarily who are we going with, who's the better character. You watch these movies, you sit down, who do you just like seeing on screen more?
I mean, it's just Vader. If we're talking about who I want to see on the screen, I'd rather have 24/7 vision of Vader than 24/7 vision of Luke. You know,
see, I'm with that. I get that. I certainly do. I don't think I had the appreciation I should have for Luke Skywalker because I never gotten brand new Luke Skywalker. I've gotten Luke Skywalker from the 70s and 80s. And then we got the sequel trilogy Luke Skywalker, but that's old man Luke. You don't get prime Luke Skywalker if you're our age. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
to receive a look at Prime Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, it enhanced my appreciation for the character overall just tenfold. I already loved him. Obviously, it's Luke fucking Skywalker.
Whenever I'm referring to Luke, I am cutting the sequel version of him out because I think all that does for his character is puts it down the drain. It doesn't put his character down the drain. It affects his character negatively. It doesn't affect him positively. The sequels.
Gotcha.
I'm taking that out of his character. I'm not even looking at it. I'm not even thinking about his sequel performance. I'm only thinking of the originals, him showing up in The Mandalorian 2. I'm thinking of Prime Luke is what I'm thinking of.
I get you. I can't think about Luke without thinking, because like we said on, I can't remember if that was earlier this episode or if that was in the round of 32 where we just oozed over that last scene with Luke. That sacrifice.
Yes, but I don't know what Luke did or what drove him to almost kill Kylo. And
well, there is the thing that, the thing with that is that it's a matter of perspective. All Ben saw was his master standing above him with a lightsaber, therefore he was about to kill him. However, Luke says that he thought about it for a second, and that was it. And he never considered it.
But he turned on his lightsaber. You could think about it in a separate room, not hand on lightsaber right above the dude that you're thinking about killing. Can you imagine? I could say, hey, I'm thinking about killing X person. But if I go up to them, put a Glock on their forehead and say, I'm thinking about killing you, I'm going to jail for that one and not the other one. There's a big difference there.
That's fair.
I'm being tackled to the ground in one of them, and the other is just why are you saying it? Why are you talking like that? Let's not talk like that.
All right, I can see it.
That's big. That is big. If I am right and Dave Filoni is fixing everything or giving us the insight into this, and I am right, then I think of Old Man Luke as a big positive. That's a big positive for his character. But as of right now, his performance in the sequels, or the story that he gave, I'm not anything against Mark Hamill, but what the character that they showed us in the sequels only damages his character for me.
Here's my thing, is that scene where he is standing over Ben, I think it was ill-advised. I think that what the intention of the scene doesn't come across as it was supposed to be interpreted. It's that is supposed to very clearly mirror him thinking about killing Vader. Vader being on the ground after he'd beaten the shit out of him to the ground like that, and then standing over him with his lightsaber in his hand, thinking about killing him with an angry look on his face. What he ultimately did, sheathed his lightsaber, walked away. However, he was in a fight with Vader. He wasn't in a fight with this sleeping kid. That's where it becomes I think it's just a hole in the writing. I do think it was supposed to be
But that's the thing. The thought should have never crossed his mind of actually going through with killing him. Because that thought occurred with his father. And from that point on, he should know, or his morals are set from that point on. He is not going to go back on that big of a decision. No,
and he wouldn't go back on that big of a decision. It's the fact, I think that
he saw a shred of light in Darth Vader. How could you, honestly, if you're not Darth Vader's son, you're not seeing any light in that man.
It's true.
You are not going out of your way to see if there is light in Darth Vader still, because you see him and if you're not related, that guy is pure evil. He doesn't give a shit anymore. And I shouldn't either. But
I shouldn't either.
But just because Luke is Luke and it's his son, he's fighting for that. just even the shred of light in him. And it's small. But Kylo was like all good, and he had a shred of darkness in him, and that is what, like, think about that. That's the complete opposite.
Do you think that if Palpatine, I am every voice you have ever heard inside your head, you know, like, who's to say he can't be like, hey, Luke, kill that kid. Hey, Luke, that kid's got dark in him. He needs to go.
Whoa. But that's the thing, we don't know.
That's true.
That was my whole point, is that is why I think the sequel Luke is a net loss on the character. It's a net loss. He did some cool-ass shit. The fight with Kylo, him not actually being there, cool, that's a positive. But his overall performance is a net negative in the sequel. Okay,
I can see it.
Without knowing that information.
I'll respect that. But the fact that you do have a net negative perspective of this character tells me exactly why. Like, not of this character, not a negative perspective of this character, but that exists anywhere in his timeline is probably indicative of the fact that you think Vader should win then, right?
Because I can't really think of a time where Vader's been on screen and it wasn't badass and it wasn't his character to a T. But at the same time, it is way easier to just have a character follow the same rules, as he does when his rules are just, I'm going to kill anything in sight. It's very easy to write that. It doesn't take much to send him on a murderous rampage.
Yeah, the thing that has added that nuance to Vader's character is his relationships. It is the fact that Padme is the one who caused him to fall to the dark side. It is the fact that he fought Obi-Wan and that's how he became Vader. It's the fact that he was he had an apprentice who he loved but left the Jedi Order. If she never leaves, maybe shit goes different. Stuff like that. It's stuff like that makes Vader compelling. So it's difficult. It is difficult that...
I guess how I would put it is that if there is a story to be told in the Star Wars universe by itself, it is the story of Anakin and Darth Vader. Luke's story is a byproduct of that story, of the story.
I'm with that.
Doesn't necessarily mean that Vader is better than Luke, though, overall.
I'm with that. And here's where this is where I'm gonna stake my claim. Luke is the best character in Star Wars. And I think what we need to look at here is where he was at the beginning of Episode 4 and where he was at the end of Episode 6. And I think that's the most important part. And I think another very, very big part of what makes Luke great is the fact he doesn't fall. He doesn't fall the way Vader did. And I think you have to take that into account. We're
talking about Vader, not Anakin.
No, I'm with you. You. I'm talking the fact that
I see where you're coming from, though.
I think that's definitely a plus to his character. A man who has all the power in the galaxy, tells you he's his father, says we can rule the galaxy together. To have the willpower and the strength to go, no, that's fucking wrong.
You put Luke in Anakin's position, does the same thing. Same thing happens. The same thing is going to happen.
You think so? You think anyone in Anakin's shoes...
Anakin's decision was mostly made by others.
He was a victim of others.
It was more of a victim decision than his own. He was the one, to push Mace out the window at the end of the day. He was the one to force choke Padme. He was the one to fight his master. But
the stuff that pushed him there is what
he's only there because of the people around him. It's Palpatine. Like, it's not fair to be manipulated to that extent and then say it's your fault.
True.
And I don't really think not falling to the dark side, or just because Anakin did, lessens the character in any way.
Like, I don't think it does.
Or even goes, or that it even belongs in this discussion on which one should win.
I am just coming from the perspective. I'm not trying to dismiss Anakin in any way. I am just saying it is a credit to Luke's character
That's true.
that he doesn't give in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm not saying that makes him better than Anakin. I'm just saying that because he doesn't fall, it takes a great amount of will. Like, that's,
you know what? This question needs to be answered like you would answer a LeBron versus Jordan question. There is no clear answer, but there are questions that may lead to a clear answer. And one of them is usually, if I'm starting a franchise, what character am I starting it with?
Okay.
You know, as in the NBA, like, who are you going to start a team with? But for the Star Wars, who am I going to start? Who should I start a trilogy with?
The Star Wars franchise was started with Luke and Vader.
Yeah, so it is hard to say. But if you could only pick one to start it with.
We are introduced to Vader sooner than we are introduced to Luke. It's tough. This is a nearly impossible decision. And we have been discussing for 15 and a half minutes, and I would argue that we are not anywhere closer to a verdict. So, give me your final answer. Who, as it stands right now, are you going with?
I think I know what my answer is. And I know that it is my answer.
You know it is not our answer, though. There's something nagging.
I'm recognizing that whatever my answer is, I'm wrong.
But for both of them?
We're both wrong. There is no right answer.
There is no right answer. It's both of them. The answer is both.
It is both of them. You cannot have one without the other. It is the yin-yang. Literally. There's the darkness in one, the little bit of darkness in one, the little bit of light in the other. They both need each other to survive. It's the whole reason George Lucas wrote Star Wars in the first place. He's a man of the yin-yang. It's what it is. And honestly, to honor him, fuck it, Grogu wins.
Grogu's the best character in all of Star Wars.
I'm not deciding between Vader and Luke, even though I do have a decision. I think my decision is Vader.
Okay.
I would say Vader.
My decision is Luke.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think it is fitting that we leave it at that. My decision was Luke, and your decision was Vader.
And I think that's
for everyone at home.
I think that's
comfortable. I think everyone would be comfortable knowing that that's the case. You know, it is always coming down to Luke and Vader.
There's no correct answer. There is just preference at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Which character did you connect with more, or which character do you just like to see more?
I'm with.
And there's just no right answer. Like, anytime Luke is on screen, it is good. Anytime Vader's on screen, it is good. They're good in their different ways.
Absolutely.
And it's just Grogu wins. He's the winner. Can't argue it. Can't argue it.
Can't argue it. It was our decision.
Like,
we made it up.
Like, you can't say Ahsoka or Obi-Wan won, like, because you can't really say Grogu's just on his own field, you know?
Yeah, that is interesting to think about, though. Grogu is in a different playing field, oddly, because he did make it into the tournament and deeper into the tournament for different reasons than everybody else, which is interesting. He is far and away at the moment, weirdly because he is the same species as Yoda, the most unique character in Star Wars at the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
which makes him all the more compelling. It's because we don't know where he's from. All this mystery shrouding his true nature, where we know he was from the Jedi Temple. We don't know who took him. We don't know any of his backstory. We don't know what's to come. We just know he could live another 900 years. It's just that, like, he's just different compared to everyone else. So I'm comfortable saying that Grogu won our tournament.
Grogu won.
I mean, Vader and Luke was the final, but Grogu won.
If Anakin isn't the chosen one, Grogu is. Okay?
One must say.
It's Anakin, but, like, if it wasn't, this is Anakin 2.0.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just how all Yodas are, you know? That's just how they all are, I guess.
I'm interested if we ever meet his species. Like, or is that something that, like, they'll never betray George Lucas's idea there? Like, he never wanted his species to be revealed, so will they never reveal his species? Just never show us more than them?
That's the thing. Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu had to come from somewhere. You could say their species only allows their Force sensitive to leave and be discovered. Maybe it's part of their culture. Maybe it's part of their ritual. Oh, hey, this one can move things with its mind at a young age. Send them off to the stars as a gift to the gods. Could be that, you know. Their species could be very primitive and not know what goes on in the universe, but they just send off their most powerful. And that's how it could be anything. Like, literally, that would be I would be sound with that. I'd be sound with every other of their species doesn't know what's going on at all. But it's just, it's like they're so clueless that they're sending off the most powerful beings, you know? That's just a Star Wars explanation.
Yeah, it is. That makes sense.
It's something that you would never think of. Be like, oh, yeah, why would they send off their most powerful, or why are they not well known? Why is there so few? What if there's millions of them and they're just all stupid?
But there's always that possibility. But nevertheless, our Star Wars tournament has concluded with Luke and Vader being the final match and Grogu taking the cake just out of nowhere.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk?
It's for the kids.
But for real, you know the deal. It's Star Wars is Luke and Vader. That is the core of the story. It's where it started. It's where we're finishing this bracket.
The final four was poetic. Vader and Ahsoka, Luke and Obi-Wan. The matchups, they just seem to fall in the right place. You know, we had like a Poe Dameron versus a Lando. They just seem to fall together.
Han versus Finn, Han versus Din.
Even though we seeded them, we took 3 hours to do so.
Padme versus Anakin.
Placed in the bracket, seemingly random.
Mostly random, yes.
And turned out to be this poetic and beautiful and just, I couldn't have asked for more, man. I don't know.
It was a good bracket. I'm proud of the work we have done. And the
Marvel is going to be at least 10 hours.
Marvel's going to be even longer. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that briefly right now. So now that we have concluded our Star Wars bracket, we're on to the next. We are on to our Marvel bracket. Now, I have a question for you. Would you like to make this simply MCU? Or would you like to make this Marvel characters? Just any Marvel characters.
Ooh.
So when you say Spider-Man, you can take into account Tobey Maguire. You can take into account Andrew Garfield. You can take into account Tom Holland. You can take into account all these things.
Okay.
Or should we just go MCU characters? I feel like it'd be easier to do that.
I think we just have to blacklist comics, sadly.
I think we do too. There's just too many characters.
If it's comics, yeah, too many characters, and it's pretty much already decided. You can look up any list on the most powerful MCU characters. It's not really going to be that fun, to decide, because like there is who's like the all-knowing, like literal God. There's MCU God. He would win. It's just, how can you pick better than the literal MCU God? Stan Lee, he's winning. Okay,
yeah,
he wins, and then God. But like it wouldn't be as fun. It would just be like, okay, this dude's a literal god. He could think about killing an entire universe, and he does quite often. It just wouldn't be as fun.
So MCU is what we're looking at.
I would say
we would be like, we'd even get like fucking
I'd say
16
X-Men,
seeds like General Ross and shit like that.
Mutants allowed, totally. Like totally.
Oh, so like we're including the X-Men.
Including X-Men, I think we should. Because it's some X-Men, I mean, top 64, there are some X-Men that are in there. Like Deadpool.
Certainly of Marvel characters. Definitely.
Wolverine, like
I'm asking, what I'm asking is if we should maintain a certain continuity to it so that it is just an MCU bracket.
I see what you mean.
Or do we make exceptions and allow in characters from Fox, like the Fantastic Four movies and the X-Men?
I would say we throw in Marvel characters. We can include X-Men in this.
It's kind of just a...
If we need more argument to decide on a winner between these two characters, we can go outside of the MCU to decide. Say it's like a Spider-Man versus a Wolverine. Say we can't decide. We'd be like, okay, let's look at Tom Holland. Let's look at Tobey Maguire. Let's look at comics even.
Jackman.
Let's look at even comics. Let's look at everything if we can't decide, maybe. But the characters we choose to begin with are MCU, X-Men only.
Okay, I'm with that. So, MCU / X-Men is what we will be doing next for our tournament, and we'll plan that. We'll probably take a break for the rest of the day. Maybe join up later with a group. But for now, we'll put off the Marvel tournament until probably next week sometime. And in the meantime, fuck yeah, man. This was a joy. This was the Penny Bloom podcast. It was our Star Wars tournament. We hope you enjoyed. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, and yin yang at the end of the day.
Yin yang at the end of the day.
God, George. Damn it, George.
Damn it, George. Just remember, peace, love, and bloom. And always praise Keanu Reeves. Every time. Always. All the time. Every time.